Hello everyone, Scott Haskin here, and we're talking about the song It Played Upon Your Deepest Fear, which is It Came Upon a Midnight Clear, which is one of my favorite Christmas songs actually. This is where it gets weird, because when I went to record the dialogue for this, I planned on just doing the regular narrator's voice, and as I started the first line, all of a sudden I was speaking in what I now call my fake Gandalf voice. If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, I sound nothing like Sir Ian McKellen, but just the idea of this, long bearded old man telling a story, yarns of days gone by, and I don't know where it came from. It just came out. And I did a couple lines and I realized what I was doing, and I thought, what the hell? So I went back and listened to it, and I thought, this actually works. This actually is really cool. So I did the dialogue to the song, and then I went back through the rest of the songs and chose which ones I would use that voice on. And kind of wanted to do half and half, so I had a couple with the narrator voice done already, and then this one, so I just chose between what was left, and I really liked the voice, and I ended up keeping it through all three albums and kind of making it a character, like maybe the overseer of the whole domain where all these things were happening. And that's based on the ending song for each of the three albums. He definitely seemed to be the one that was in control of things and sort of the master. So the song itself just really developed over time. That's probably took me the longest amount of time to write the story, just because I wasn't sure where I wanted to go with it. I had written out all the titles first, so I took all the songs that I thought about creating stories for, and I rewrote the titles to be what they would be on the album. And then I just started picking one after another, until I had my choices for the first album. And I knew that I wanted the Dance of the Sugared Plum Fairy to be the last, the end of the story for the album, because again, I wasn't sure I was going to do another one. So we'll get to that one when we get to that song. But I had the title and I didn't know what to do with it, and I just started jotting down. Like anytime I came up with an idea, I would just jot it down and see what came together. And when I sat down to write it, the story just flowed very nicely. I don't think I made any changes to it from the original full story that I wrote. I just had it, and that's how I recorded it. The story itself was kind of interesting because you kind of get the idea that something's not right with this family as you're listening to, why is he not allowed to go outside, and, why are they keeping him trapped and all of that. And then, of course, the reveal comes a little bit later, and the idea was just based on a music box, because I remember as a very young child, music boxes were a fairly common thing, and every house had one or two, or in our case, a handful of them, and just being fascinated by them. I mean, watching the gears move and how it played, kind of like a tiny, tiny version of a player piano, and just being fascinated by the tones and how they were generated and all that. And I used to just sit there for hours and watch them and play the songs over and over again. So the idea of the music box sort of came from that. And then I think I'd probably just watched Da Vinci Code or Angels and Demons again or something at some point, and just had the idea in my head of some sort of clue being held inside of one of the music boxes. But I really liked his determination with the Jack in the Box, because he knew something was supposed to happen, and he was determined to make it happen. And of course, that just became a quick obsession to distract him while his parents were being dealt with, as we should say. It was certainly something that was a hard story to narrate, because of, you really kind of, as a narrator, you just want to tell the story, but as the person telling the story, you really kind of feel for the kid and what's just happened to him. And, of course, he has to be the one to discover everything. And, that kind of trauma you think you would never, ever, ever come back from. And the last thing you would ever want to see is a music box again. But after all those years of isolation, it just kind of piqued his interest. For one, it was just something new. But two, hoping that there was some sort of answer or some comfort that he could find by turning the crank. So, that's pretty much it for this one. I had a great time writing it. It's one of my favorites. Actually, I don't listen to my music a lot, as I've said many times, but this is one of the songs that I do go back and listen to. It just, I love the tone of it, especially right off the bat. You've got the music box, but that just underlying sort of off-putting sounds, which was very intentional. Definitely meant to be out of harmony and sort of something that just kind of makes you like, something's not right here, you know. So I was happy with the way that it came out. And I believe this was the song that somebody wrote to me and said, 30 seconds into listening to this, I'd ruined their childhood, which, you know, when you're writing this kind of music is a compliment. Certainly something, if I had heard that on a mental sauna piece or something else I had written, I would be very upset. But for this kind of music, it worked out perfectly. So thank you, and we'll talk about the next song.